Hi, I'm Danny Johnson. Welcome to the Danny Johnson Show. I hope today you completely enjoy what it is that you and I are going to be talking about. Welcome to this nice little corner in our home. I don't know if you're picking up where I'm sitting, but I'm sitting in a place that very often, especially on Saturdays, that I love to read my Bible. A place where I like to get spiritually fed. And I wish you could see this insane view right outside this window that really was a complete godsend of how we actually found this piece of property. We paid so little for it. I feel like we almost stole it. Like it was so incredibly cheap for the acres that we were able to get right here in the beautiful hill country of Texas. You can see a little bit right outside this window here, but I know the glare is not all that great. But anyway, I want to encourage you today. You know, here we are. We're full-fledged in a brand new season, right? We're in a new time, and today we're going to be really focusing on the spiritual part of your life, because if you're going to succeed this year and if you're going to play to win this year, you make sure that you are winning spiritually, that your spirit man is completely uplifted, that your spirit man is focused on the things that your spirit man should be focused on, that you're walking in the spirit versus in the flesh. Because whenever we walk in the flesh, we just get ourselves in so much trouble. You understand what I'm saying? Like so much trouble. And so a few weeks back, I don't know if you were kind of following my husband and I as we were down in South America and also in Antarctica as just a complete dream trip for our 25th wedding anniversary. And this was checking two things off of my list, one of which being hitting 7 continents. And another goal and dream of mine was to go to Antarctica. And I didn't know why I wanted to go to Antarctica. I just had heard about it, I heard about the beauty of it, and I just needed to go. And had such a powerful experience while I was down there. I really feel like that place is holy. It is like uninhabitable naturally by any man. You can't grow anything there. You can't live there. The weather is just uninhabitable. Bottom line, it's uninhabitable. But enough about that. But something that I learned while I was on that boat, and we were going, stepping out on the land in Antarctica, on the continent of Antarctica, and seeing so much beauty and being just like feeling like I was being spoken to so many times each day and just doing a lot of journaling. There was something that I realized that I had kind of fallen into. And I want to talk to you about Philippians chapter 4 today, because there's some really powerful instructions in here for you to win this year, for you to win in every area of your life. If you want to win in your marriage, and I don't mean like win an argument, I'm saying win harmony, that your prize is harmony, that your prize is passion for each other, that if you want to win in your parenting, if you're a parent, that if that's part of your goals this year, as part of your plan this year, is to win as a parent and to feel like by the time the year is over, actually, let's forget about waiting till the year is over. Let's have it that each day of this year that you're having wins, that you feel like you're becoming the parent, the champion parent that you should be, versus what we see so much in today's world. And let's just then move over to the business life, right? I know that you want to play to win in business, and business being if it is the one that you are contributing to and helping to build, and or it is one that you own, that you've started yourself and have made that crazy investment of time and effort and emotion and mental and all of it. Bottom line is that no matter what your goals are this year, you've got to make sure that you are spiritually feeding yourself and that you're allowing the Spirit of the living God to fill you and to direct you and to guide you. And so when I was on my trip and I had a lot of time journaling and literally we were cut off from the real world, if you will, of the internet. I was personally cut off from the internet. My husband still managed to put himself on there. But I just cut off for like 10 days and had really a powerful time of refreshing and being filled again. And so one of the things, I made this long list of the things that I learned in Antarctica that I don't think I would have seen, or the revelations that I got. But this particular one, I encourage you to actually ask yourself the same question I was asking myself of just kind of doing an inventory, a self-inventory, and spending time with God and saying, okay, how am I doing? Where am I at? What is the condition of my heart right now? What is the condition of my soul right now? What are some things that I need to be working on moving forward into this next season? And if I want to play to win, like, what are some areas that I haven't been playing to win in? And, when you're playing to win, sometimes playing to win, you end up losing. Even when you're playing to win, you lose. And so I want you to fashion yourself with the mindset of a champion, because a champion does not stop playing to win when they're losing. They still play to win even when they are losing. And that's what I want to encourage you to do, is to play to win even when you're losing. And so when I was kind of doing this, just kind of a gut check, just kind of a like, God, I want an inventory. I want some things. And I already shared last week with you, or maybe it was the week before, I shared with you in another message like this, whether you're listening to this or watching this on your podcast or on YouTube, on Facebook, whatever way it is that you are getting today's message. Where I had talked about not letting anyone tell you what is from God or what isn't from God. You need to search that out yourself. And you need to be so connected with Him that you're hearing Him, and that you're not allowing our modern day society, especially the modern day church, tell you what is from Him and what is not from Him, especially when it comes to your goals, your desires, and your dreams. Those things, no human can discern that for you. That is between you and your Maker, because He made you and He knows where He's taking you. And so I don't know if you heard that message or not, but you need to go back and listen to that message. And it kind of walked you and taught you how to discern your desires versus His desires, and how to really hear Him in that way to make sure that you are heading on the right path for the right desires. So in this one of the things that came up when I'd written down 6 things that I had learned from being in Antarctica, and what this trip was really all about. And as I'm debriefing, if you will, the last part of the part when we were out in the Drake Passage, where the boat is like it was going crazy, friend. You want to talk about a test of faith. A baby grand piano that was chained to the ground flipped over. About 15 chairs with people in them flipped over. That's how crazy this passage was. And fortunately, I did not get sick. I didn't get nauseous, not once, which was such a gift from God, and I was thanking God the whole time. So let's just pray to start off with, because I want you to hear His voice and not mine. I want you to hear His thoughts and not mine. And if you don't have ears to hear, you won't hear Him. So Father, I thank you so much for this space, for this place, even in my room, where so oftentimes I just sit here with you, and I sit here with your word, and I just chew on it, and I love the things that you teach, and I love what my eyes get to see, and I thank you for the beauty of the land that my eyes are able to witness, and the beauty of your word, and the beauty of your wisdom, and the beauty of your knowledge that always wrecks me. Father, I pray that today, as I talk here with my friend, that as we have this conversation, you be in the midst of this conversation. You be the one to direct this conversation. You be the one to penetrate my heart and their heart. That you give us eyes to see and ears to hear. We want to know you more. We want to press into you more. We don't want more of the religiosity that man has created. We want what you have created. We want to walk with you the way Moses did, the way Abraham did. We want to please you the way Abraham did. We want to please you the way Yeshua, Jesus, the Messiah, pleased you. And so many others that are throughout all of history, the way Yehoshua, Joshua, pleased you with the way he lived his life. And Queen Esther, the way she pleased you. The way Daniel lived out his life. And Meshach, Shadrach, and Abednego, how they pleased you and how they walked with you, Father. I just want my spirit to be so close to yours that I just don't miss a moment. I don't want to miss a moment. I don't want to waste any more time. If I look in the last 50 years of my life, how much time I have wasted, I just don't want to do that anymore. Yeah, so Father, I pray you bless this time and you bless this teaching and you show us your truth. In the name of Yeshua, and also in Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. Yes, the Father of our faith, the Father of our faith, that you hear us in the merit of them who lived, who died, who walked by faith with you. Amen. Okay, so, So one of the things that I wrote down in my journal when I was asking God to give me eyes to see about what needs to change in me, one of the things that I had realized that I had spent a period of time, there were some things that happened in the year that probably happened to you too, right? I broke my ankle in May, and it took 6 months before it was like normal again, and here we had these very anticipated goals that we wanted to achieve, and between the broken ankle and some sidetracking that happened in my professional life, and just things that didn't quite turn out the way that maybe we hoped they'd have. And come on, you've had times and seasons like that, right? And so here I was, I realized that I let my head get into a place where I spent way too much time thinking about things that were upsetting me. I spent way too much time zeroing in on things that I had requested that people just ignored, or that I felt they had ignored. The reality is they had a lot on their plate, and if I'm not in their face every day, of course they're forgetting what the request was. That how we had set up to do specific things, and how I felt was like, man, like every time I keep meeting with certain people, it just seems like those agendas that we spent all that time creating, just like they're just not happening. I felt like my agendas were just not the agendas that were important to various different people. And so, listen, I want you to know, I say this in all honor. We have the most incredible team of people that we work with, and their hearts are so in the right place, and they are so for our mission of impacting 100 million lives by 2035. And so it is sometimes that a set of circumstances causes different things to happen. And the reality is I'm not around a lot. And so this is part of the things where I pick my battles in running companies, is that the bottom line is that for me personally, the energy and effort that I'm willing to put into something, I have a certain amount of hours that I'm willing to put into something. And so with those hours and with that kind of setup, there's going to be mistakes. There's going to be things that go slower. There's going to be things that get misunderstood, misconstrued, and taken out of context. And if I'm not in people's faces every day, 40 hours a week, which I refuse to do, I haven't worked more than 20 hours a week since I'll just say a lifetime ago, literally a lifetime ago. I found the secrets to time. I really did. I found the secrets of time and how to build multi-million-dollar companies on 20 hours or less a week. And I found the secrets of time and the secrets of communication skills that helped to where I could reduce the amount of hours I spend in the business life so that I could have more time with my spouse, and I can have more time with my kids and my grandkids, and have more time traveling the world, have more time spending with God, having more time just kind of settling down and processing things, and more time with different family members and things like that. Those are the things that are more important to me. Time with God and time with my family is like more important to me than business and all these other things. Although we have this, mission of impacting 100 million lives by 2035, and we are well on our way already to doing that, which is like crazy and exciting, like really crazy and exciting. And so anyway, so you have to pick your battles, right? When you pick what your priorities are, sometimes when you set off on a goal, which a lot of people are focused on right now, when you set out on a goal, sometimes those goals have to be adjusted based on the time and the talent that you have and the talent of your team. And time will tell you as you're heading off on the path to achieve those things. Time will tell you whether or not you have the right talent around you. Time will tell you whether or not you have the right timeline. The time will tell you whether or not you're investing your time in the right place or not. And again, you have a goal, and it might be something huge, it might be something small, but when you have that, like I said, and please understand this, there's not a failure, and it's not that people have failed you, it simply is the circumstances are communicating something to you. And what it's communicating to you is that not to quit, but that there needs to be an adjustment made, whether it's an adjustment of how much time you're giving yourself to do the thing, it's an adjustment of the kind of talent that you have around you, or who you've assigned to do those particular things. You have to just really allow the circumstances to speak to you. And you have to ask the question, okay, God, what are you speaking to me through my circumstances right now? And I didn't ask that question soon enough. I didn't. And so I allowed myself between the ankle and all that kind of brings up inside your body. When you've got a part of your limb that isn't working, like it does something to your head, right? And that was kind of interesting. And then so I allowed my head to kind of I allowed my mind to get too loose. I allowed my mind to not have as much discipline as I should have had. And I started to kind of let my mind loosen up again. To be honest with you, I let my mind kind of get fat. You know what I mean? How do you get fat? You might not know how to get fat. I know how to get fat. Boy, do I ever. I was 50 pounds overweight 4 different times in my life without being pregnant. And that was like in between pregnancies. Yeah, like didn't gain very much in the pregnancy, but after it was like, oof. Anyway, so I allowed my mind to get fat. I did. I allowed it to get fat. How do you get fat? You get fat by not being disciplined and not having a plan. You get fat by not really thinking through what you're about to put in your mouth, but you just kind of just very loosely just eat whatever. You don't have a plan. You're not really thinking about the consequences about what you're putting in your mouth. You know what I mean? It's the same for our mind. It's the same exact thing for our mind. So I kind of allowed my mind in, and I would say even allowed the broken ankle to, just let me get loose and kind of just get fat mentally, right? So more undisciplined. I got more, just less sharp, if you will, less intentional with my thoughts. And wow. So I'm sitting on this boat and I'm meeting various different people. And I promise you we're going to get to Philippians 4. But you got to have the background of what brought this revelation. I'm sitting on this boat and we're on our way back and the Drake passage is crazy, right? I already told you the piano flipped over, like a baby grand piano that was chained to the ground, flipped over, and 15 people flipped over. And I show up for lunch and the same man that has, because Hans and I pick like the same table that we sat at every single day on this boat. And I had a conversation with Ishmael de Jesus. Okay, so Ishmael de Jesus, right, is his name. And he's from the Philippines. And Ishmael is, you could see it in all of their eyes, right? So, everybody that is working there, this is a very tormenting thing because it was 2 days and half of a whole nother night, right? So it started around 7 o'clock at night on the first night, went all the next day, and the next night, through the night, all through the next day and through the night, right? So we had 3 nights where it was like, bam, 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 bam. It stopped being crazy around 10:30 on the third night is when it stopped like crazy, where you feel like you're gonna fall out of the bed. It got to where it was like a nice little, a nice roll that was a little bit more doable. So the first night I'm watching, second night, lunch and then dinner, and I look at the staff and I just go, oh my gosh, like I can't believe they're doing this. I cannot believe they're doing this. And I asked the maitre d' and I just said, gosh, like how are you doing this? And he says, ma'am, it's tormenting, with his beautiful Indian accent. It's torment. And it's every 10 days. And sometimes it's every 5 days. And I just went, gosh. So that I say to Ishmael, I say, why do you do this? And he says, ma'am, with this beautiful Filipino accent, ma'am, where I come from, there are no jobs, and I have a wife and a son that I need to take care of. But Ishmael, there's other ships you can go on. There's other places you could go to. This is the Drake Passage. It's like this, like every 5 to 10 days, like you're going back and forth to Antarctica from Ushuaia. Like it's this way every 10 days. Like, dude, you don't have to do this. Like this is all the only contracts that have been available for me. I'm like, wow. So I go back to my room and literally I have tears in my eyes because I'm like, oh God, like he feels blessed that he has a job and he has a way to provide for his wife and his son. He's away on this boat for 9 months. 9 months. That's complete hell. fortunately, I had those little things that go in my, wrists, and I managed for those 2 days and 3 nights. But my poor husband, he was taking every, drug that was available that they were like handing out these drugs like it was candy, and, had the patch, and was taking the medication, anti-vertigo medication, and still he felt horrible. He felt horrible. And I'm looking at the staff who still has to make the bread, who still has to make all the food, 3 meals a day for 100 people, and they're suffering. I mean, they have a great suffering in this. And I just remember going back to my room and praying and just going, I have been complaining. He's not complaining. I have allowed my mind to look at the list of things that have not gone right. I have allowed my mind to look at the things that have upset me. I've allowed my frustration to rise up in my career. I've allowed, and I'm not saying it went on for a year. It didn't. I can't even say it went on for 6 months. Probably for a month. I allowed my mind, actually it was a month. I allowed my mind to kind of rehearse the things that frustrated me over that last year. I allowed myself to, again, be fat mentally. I allowed thoughts into my head without holding them captive, without pointing my mind to think on things that I should be according to the scripture, according to Philippians 4. But instead, I focused on things that upset me. I focused on things that frustrated me. I focused on things that didn't go right. I focused on mistakes that I made. Mistakes that I'm just so not happy about. Things that I did that were stupid. Things that I regretted. And I allowed myself to get into kind of a sea of disappointment for several weeks. Where I just was getting lower and lower and lower. And I'm not saying to a depression, but I am saying not from the place that I normally will be thinking from in a very disciplined mind. But instead, I just allowed myself, and it started with breaking my ankle. It literally started with breaking my ankle that I just started to get loose. It's obviously I can't work out. My ankle's broken. I could have worked out my arms. I could have done sit-ups. I could have done, not squats, but I could have done lots of things in all reality, but I just let myself, I just let myself do that, and that was dumb. And so as I was, for a month, I was reevaluating my year, and I just was stupid with how I was reevaluating. And until the Drake passage, which I wouldn't have gotten that revelation, right? As I'm sitting with this precious man, and I'm hearing him with gratitude talk about the job that he has, and even though it's tormenting every 10 days, sometimes every 5, he's just grateful he can provide for his family. Man, I'm a spoiled, rotten brat, right? And so are you. Think about the things that you've been complaining about, right? So I wrote that down in my journal, this trip has been about, exposing to me where I've complained, what I've put my mind on, what I've focused on. And it was about me, where I screwed up continuously, where I kept falling short continuously. So look at this. It's Philippians chapter 4, verse 6. It says, be anxious for nothing, but at all times, but at all times, by prayer and supplication with thanksgiving, but at all times. By the way, I read this while I was on the boat. I finished out the whole Bible while I was on the boat. Be anxious for no thing. Be anxious for no thing. But at all times. It doesn't say but sometimes. It doesn't say whenever you think about it. It doesn't say, most of the time. It doesn't say 90% of the time. It doesn't say 50% of the time. It says, but at all times. Be anxious for nothing. Be anxious for no thing. Be anxious for no thing in business. Be anxious for no thing of what's going on in your marriage. Be anxious for no thing that's going on with your teenager who's doing drugs. Be anxious for no thing that your toddler's driving you crazy. Be anxious for no thing that has to do with your debt and with your money and with your health and your cancer even. Be anxious for no thing. Be anxious for no thing of who is attacking you verbally and who is hurling missiles of false accusations against you. Be anxious for no thing. And in all times, but at all times, not 50% of the time, not 20% of the time, not 90% of the time, not 60% of the time, by prayer, this is your weapon. This is the instruction. By prayer and supplication, with thanksgiving, make known your requests before Elohim. By the way, I'm reading from the Aramaic Bible. It's so awesome. It's the original language that this was written. The Second Testament was written in Aramaic first, translated then to Greek, Greek to English. So I like to get as close to the original text as possible, so that's what I'm reading from. So be anxious for no thing, but at all times, by prayer and supplication with thanksgiving. Isn't it crazy how busy we can get sometimes? Isn't it crazy that we can get busy? And with the busyness, like you wake up in the morning and your head is on, what your coworker said yesterday, or what your husband said yesterday, or what your kid still did not obey, right? Or gosh, the president passed this thing, and do you know what I'm saying? It's like nothing's ever changing. And it just starts with one morning with your head on that thing, and then you get up and you attempt to read your Bible. And what are you doing when you're reading your Bible? You're just seeing the words, but are you allowing the words to get inside of you? Are you allowing the words to change you? Okay, because that's what it says it is. That the word of Elohim is like a two-edged sword. It changes you. It cuts through bone and marrow. It cuts on the inside. And so you could sit there and read the words, but it doesn't say anything, right? It's not speaking to you. And I spent too many days allowing that to happen. So be anxious for no thing. Be anxious for no thing that the policy isn't being followed through with. Be anxious for no thing. That includes no thing includes everything. Do you understand what I'm saying? It includes everything. But at all times is all time, 24/7. By prayer and supplication with thanksgiving. So here's Ishmael de Jesus, who is grateful that he has a job. And he's there trying to serve water while the freaking boat is going like this. He's there trying to meet the needs of everyone he's serving with a smile on his face. What? Away from his wife and kids. And by the way, without internet for a large portion of the time, where he can't even connect with them for days at a time, especially during the Drake passage. And during the Drake passage, you can forget about it. With thanksgiving. So whatever it is that you're walking through right now, this is a great strategy. This is a powerful strategy. That with thanksgiving, at all times, by prayer and supplication, with thanksgiving, make known your request before Elohim. Isn't it really funny that somehow, and I don't know if you found this or not, but I just know I found it this way, that for some reason I got it into my head somewhere along the way that as a believer in Yeshua, Jesus the Messiah, that if I'm going to pray, I have to pray for things that are about the Bible. Right? That it has to be like over spiritualized, that it has to be like, I can only pray for world peace, or I can only pray for, do you know what I'm saying? Like I can only pray for things that are, spiritual, so then it kind of leaves out this, it leaves out my work life, doesn't it? So because you would think, so many of us think that our work life is not spiritual, our marriage isn't spiritual, raising kids isn't spiritual. It's all spiritual. It's all spiritual. Our finances aren't spiritual. So if you've gotten that into your head, like I did for a minute, many years ago, that, okay, wait a second, if I'm going to pray, I'm going to pray according to the word. I don't know who taught that, or where it got into my head, that if I am wrestling with something with my husband, or I'm wrestling, meaning like internally, emotionally, mentally, that whatever I'm wrestling with, that if it's not a spiritual thing, then I better not bring that with thanksgiving, making those requests to God. It can only be the request that, I don't know. I don't even know how to say it. That it has to do with my calling or the whatever. It just makes me sick to my stomach. It's like gravel in my mouth. Okay, so, and thank God I didn't stay there very long, because I didn't, where it's like, okay, make known your request. It doesn't say spiritual request. Just make known your request, right? So whatever it is that is coming at you, whatever it is driving you crazy, whatever it is that is, that is frustrating you, whatever it is that you're anxious about, whoever it is that you're anxious about, bring that. Okay, look, but at all times, be anxious for nothing, but at all times, by prayer and supplication, with thanksgiving, make known your requests to him, whatever it is. Be not afraid to ask for everything. For everything. So I want you to make a list of what you maybe have been anxious about. Make a list. And then take it to him. Take it to him. I'm like, okay, so here's one. Regret. I had regret that I had not done this good enough this last year. The last month of the year. I had not done this good enough. I had not done this good enough. I let my head go and think where it shouldn't have. I allowed my brain to get fat, undisciplined, unyielding. I just let it go. And so regret was one of them. So it's like, oh, God, forgive me. I need to forgive myself for the regrets that I have. I've been so focused on my regret that it's like digging a hole inside of me. So even that, okay? Or if you did something that you really regret, that you are like ashamed of, like, bring that to him. Father, man, I can't believe I failed you again. I did it again. The thing I said I don't want to do, I did it again. I'm so sorry. And I choose right now with using my words to forgive myself for doing it again. I screwed that up again. Do you understand? So I'm going to stop right here, and we will continue next week with the next part that I want to get into. So just do this. Just right now, make the list of the things that have caused you anxiety, the things that have caused you frustration. And I want you to lay those out and ask him to forgive you, forgive yourself, and lay those out before him. And just with Thanksgiving first, right? With Thanksgiving. And if you can't find something to be thankful for, just think of Ishmael, who is out in the Drake Passage right now, right? With pianos flipping over, chairs with people in them flipping over, and he has to serve water with a smile and somehow make it in the glass. Okay? And he chooses to do that because he is thankful to have a way to provide for his wife and his son, to give his family a better life. It's that or starvation. It's that or homelessness for him. So he's grateful that he can provide for his family. So have you been unthankful? I can tell you this. Those things that you aren't thankful in are the things that are causing you anxiety. There is a direct connection. We see it right here. There's a direct connection. This thing starts about being anxious for nothing. What causes us anxiety is not being grateful, is not entering in with thanksgiving. There's so much you can thank him for. And when we stop thanking him is when anxiety starts to rise up inside of our souls. It's when a lack of gratitude, now we start complaining. And we start complaining, we start getting frustrated, and now we get ticked off really, really fast. And then we regret because we didn't act right. And then we feel bad, and now we're walking in shame and guilt. Why? All starts from a lack of thanksgiving. All of it starts right there. So I'm going to stop right here. I want you to make a list of what you've been anxious about. I want you to analyze that and sit there and go, man, have I been thankful in those areas? Nope. Have I brought my request to him? Nope. But instead complained? Have I complained? Have I just like camped out on frustration instead of bringing those requests to him? I have watched God do the craziest and wildest things. I really have. Even as of last week, even as of today, I had just something really wild, a prayer, something that I like stopped thinking about and just went, okay, Father, I pray that you do something inside of this. I come against this wickedness. I come against this lies. I come against this deceit. I come against rejection. I just come against this right now. And the fog clears up and the clarity comes, friend. It does. And I love how he does that. If you are willing to what? Be anxious for no thing, but in all times by prayer and supplication with thanksgiving. Make your requests known to Elohim. All right. Thanks for joining me today. Listen, I got to see you live. You got to get here face to face with us. Could you imagine being in a community of people who are walking through their stuff and getting better day by day, week by week? Could you imagine? Think about it. Think about it. Do you want to walk by a greater faith? Do you want to walk in a greater authority of knowing who you are and where you're going? And do you want to be with a community that when you fall down, they pick you up instead of just annihilate you with their tongues or with their eyes and all of their self-righteousness? Do you want to be able to pay off all of your debt and be completely debt-free? Do you want this year to be a year where you are able to annihilate a good portion of that debt and feel amazing about yourself? Are you sick and tired of hearing messages that don't lead you to being able to take the action that should be taken? And maybe you're in that place where you don't even know what action should be taken. I promise you, if you take the risk and you come out and you join us at First Steps to Success, I promise you, you're going to get a final copy. That even when I, for example, found myself and started to notice my mind starting to get a little bit soft, where was I? I was with a community that loves me in my failures, that loves me in my short-term places of where I've fallen off a track. That they show mercy, they show grace, and they show love. How? They're all First Steps to Success graduates. They're all a people who have walked in this beautiful place of humility. And I want you to meet them, and I want you to be amongst them. I want you to have and experience the freedom they're feeling and experiencing by being involved with First Steps to Success. So go to the website, DannyJohnson.com right now. Go to DannyJohnson.com right this minute and get yourself registered for First Steps to Success. Get registered right now. Don't delay. Don't delay. God's going to do the craziest and wildest things in your life as a direct result of these 3 days that we're going to have together. I promise you, He makes a way where there is no way. And it is time for you to win and to win big. And this is the season for you to win big. So I can't wait to see you at the next First Steps to Success. Go to the website right now, get your ticket right now, and as soon as you get yourself booked, then friend, come and tell me. Come over to Facebook and let me know, Danny, I registered, I did it. And if you're watching this or listening to this on a podcast or this is on YouTube, however which way that you are downloading this information right this very minute, here's what I want you to do. I want you to write it in the comments. I want you to write me and say, I'm coming. I'm coming. I'm tired of fighting. I'm tired of losing. I'm tired of these battles that I'm facing, and I'm tired of being bloodied up, and I am ready to win financially. I'm ready to win in my career. I'm ready to win in my marriage, and I'm ready to win as a parent. I'm ready to win this game called life, and I'm ready to play it and be the best